look at this steal. He's going to dribble up court, patiently wait, and find Klay Thompson, who drains the three. This is how it went for the Warriors, totally in control all night. Curry had 12 assists. Later in the quarter, Lakers down 40-37. Clock winding down, shot clock winding down. LeBron banks it in for three. That ties the game at 40. LeBron had 21 points in the first half. Under 4 minutes to go in the half, Warriors lead by 4. This is Klay Thompson over Anthony Davis, puts the Warriors up by 7. Later in the half, this is Klay Thompson in transition, burying a three. That's Curry loving it. Warriors outscored the Lakers 41-23 in the second. Here's another three from Thompson. He hit 8 of them. The Warriors won by 27 points and tied the series at a game apiece. Lakers fell flat, and Anthony Davis was a big reason why. As you can see by this graphic, this really illustrates the ups and the downs of Anthony Davis's postseason so far. Every time he scores 20 or more in a game, he follows it up with a performance in the teens. So he scored 30 in game 1, and then last night he had 11, which is less. So what happened?
They put Draymond Green on him, but I'm just going to say, the Lakers are in the position in the second round with home court advantage.
Doesn't matter that Anthony Davis flopped.
They won the first round series as the 7th seed. Okay. They are in decent position in the second round series. They have AD, who is not going to be as worn out for Game 3. I know it's not ideal. I know that it would be better if you're a Lakers fan if AD had another 30-20 game. But AD is the big part of the reason why they're here and can still make a big impact on this series. I would not overreact to a bad game because you know that graphic will probably go back up.
All right, well, I'm going to overreact a little bit, even though you didn't want me to. But AD, the look on Monica's face is telling me she's a little skeptical of what Wendy's selling here.
Of everything.
No, I love listening to you, Wendy. I think you bring a great perspective. The thing for me is it's not about the numbers, it's about the mentality, right? And I just don't think that they can use 7 games to get this done if they want to get this done. So sooner rather than later, you got to break that rhythm. It can't be up 1, down 1. It's got to be up 2. Then you can go back down 1. I just think at some point it's got to change.
What, you think this is a lot about AD, or do you think it's about how the Warriors defended him last night? They did something different, right?
Yeah, they definitely did something different, but I think it was the mentality. It's something about being up 1-0, understand that you got the win on the road, and you know you're going home, and I think they let go of the rope. He's got to be more aggressive. He's got to be more intentional about his movements on the court. He's got to get to the free throw line. He's got to take more than 11 shots. I don't think it was a bad game. I think that he just wasn't aggressive, and I think it stems from the entire team kind of letting go of the rope. And I think going forward, for them to be successful, he doesn't have to get 30 and 20. But he's got to get to the free throw line. He's got to be aggressive. And if he misses shots, no one cares.
Yeah.
It's about being intentional with your work ethic on the court and getting towards the basket consistently. If he gets a couple of charges, no one's going to care as long as he's trying to put pressure on the rim.
So you're saying the final stat line is not what we should be looking at. We should be looking at how he looks when he's playing the game and what kind of vibes he's sending off. Interesting. Look, I do want to talk about the Warriors, the defending champs, who won last night convincingly. Very different game for Steph Curry than game 1, right, Monica?
Indeed, it was indeed. I think we're going to a little tape time. All right, so here's the deal. And this particular play was at the end of the first quarter. This isn't really that different in terms of what Steph usually does, but it was just an example of the Lakers beginning to let go of the rope. Here's Steph here, right? So he's going to come off of this backstring that Kevon Looney is setting because Kevon obviously wasn't in the game a ton. But already, you can see where Jordan Poole is looking, right? He already sees that Anthony Davis is too far back. Steph's going to come off the screen, and something dangerous is going to happen. So let's clear it and let the play roll. Sure enough, back screen, Looney. Steph steps right into a jumper, which is just too easy for a guy that is one of the greatest shooters in our game. That was the first quarter. This is now the second quarter, y'all, so I'm going to freeze it right here. This is that high screen and roll action. Again, Kevon Looney's here setting this screen, and so Steph is going to draw multiple defenders when we come off this. I'm going to let it play a little bit more. Then I'm going to freeze it right here, right? You've got 3 guys that are clearly looking at Steph. Bron has to keep an eye on Wiggins here because he is a capable scorer and shooter. But when we clear it, what you're going to have is an opportunity for Kevon Looney to get right into the gut of this Lakers defense and finish easy. This is Steph as a ball handler. So Steph's going to keep his dribble alive, and watch what happens. Sure enough, he takes 3 defenders with him, wide open lane for Kevon Looney. And so we talked so much about one of the adjustments that the Warriors made in terms of putting the ball in Steph's hands. And that's just a few examples of sort of what that looks like in the course of the ball game that we had yesterday. And so I'll be curious to see, right? I'll be curious to see if they stay with that as the series moves forward.
Yeah, and I mean, you talk about the adjustments the Warriors made. Like, so now the Lakers' turn, right, to try and counter it. What do they have to do?
Yeah, so they see that the Warriors went small. They started Jermichael Green. They started Draymond on AD. Okay, well, AD is pretty good, okay? So now they can change up some of their style to try to feature AD in positions where he can take advantage of the size differential. Kevon Looney was in an absolute war with AD in Game 1. AD won that war, even though Looney had 20 rebounds. And that was one of the things that Steve Kerr did, is he adjusted the terms of it. Now the Lakers can adjust back. I definitely think the Lakers are still in reasonably good position. I believe the Warriors are the better team, but the Lakers are still fine.
It seems like, CJ, the Warriors are playing at the pace they want to play. What impact is that having?
I think the pace shifts the game, honestly. It allows them to score in transition. It allows Klay to get open looks in transition. It allows Lakers to not have a set defense. They've been great historically defensively this season, post-trade deadline, in the half court, at providing pressure, at funneling you towards Anthony Davis. So when you can get out and run, it frees your offense up, but it also puts AD in position to have to sprint back and forth and back and forth. And although he's missed 26 games this season, has been able to rest some, he's playing 40 minutes a night, high volume, high usage, and he cannot sustain that level on both sides of the ball if he's having to chase Steph Curry around the pick and roll, and that's what they did last night.
Have we seen anything so far that has changed your opinion of who will win this series and how it's going to go?
No. I still think Warriors probably survive the series. I do think in Game 1, though, you saw and a really impressive defensive effort from the Lakers. Now, the sustainability is obviously something that we've talked about at end since that game. I'm not willing to bet completely against LeBron in terms of something fantastic happening down the stretch of this series, but I think if the Lakers are going to do it, they got to do it sooner rather than later. I don't like their chances if it goes Game 7.
No, the last time the Warriors played in a Game 7, I'm pretty sure Steph Curry had 50 points.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
hard to remember way back to Sunday, but I'm pretty sure that's how it went. Hey, meanwhile on planet Earth, our producers have put together something on Windy. He became an internet sensation earlier this season for hand. No, none of us have. It's going to be fantastic. We're all going to see it together. So here's Windy orchestrating with his hand movements today.
This is a very valid form of communication, Wendy. I appreciate every hand gesture.
This is very
good. What I like if you're walking past
the That's the trophy. That's the MVP trophy.
It's now more of a cue.
And the pen comes up. Oh.
With the sound off, you're thinking, this guy is saying something interesting.
Very important stuff.
It almost is like he's leading the orchestra.
There you go. There you go.
Sounds good.
4, 3, I can't count. 3.
Not 1, not 2.
Windy,
you got to do your classic, Windy.
I hadn't seen that either, but it was fun.
You've been around the game as long as I have, Dan.
The first time. All right, coming up, Windy will put his hands in his pockets. No, coming up, as the series shifts to Hollywood, do the Lakers have enough energy to keep up with the Warriors? We'll tell you why Saturday night, 33 minutes after playing 44 in Game 1. LeBron, 28 minutes after playing 40 in Game 1. CJ, you play in this league. You know about the grind of the schedule. How important is that for the Lakers to manage the minutes of these guys? I know it sounds silly to manage in playoff, but the ability for them to limit those guys last night, can that have a benefit going forward?
I think it definitely benefits them. They understood the sense of urgency they needed to have in terms of getting one of those games, and they basically blew it all out in Game 1, where AD goes and gets 30 and 20, Bron plays 40 minutes, AD plays 44 minutes. There was a huge sense of urgency to get one of those games, and it's almost like they punted Game 2 once they seen how serious the Warriors were about it. Once they seen that they weren't going to win, they reduced the minutes, they reduced their aggression, and basically said, we're going to go home and try to figure out how to get Game 3. But I don't think you worry about minutes, because you can rest all summer, you can rehab all summer.
Right.
There you
AD missed 26 games this year. Bron's missed a ton of games this year. They said he's sleeping 10 to 12 hours a night. He's probably in his hyperbaric chamber. He'll be all right. He'll figure it out. You can get your surgeries in the offseason and do what you got to do. But I think this is a sense of urgency because of the window for LeBron to win championships and for AD to continue to solidify his greatness. Play 40 minutes a night and see what happens.
Says the guy who played through injury in the postseason. You got his surgery in the offseason.
Get your surgeries in the offseason. You figure it out later.
Right. Now, I'm not suggesting that they limit their minutes in the postseason, but I guess my question is, does the fact that their minutes got limited last night, is that a potential silver lining for them in Game 3?
I mean, yeah, if you're looking for a silver lining, it's a business decision. Same way a guy decides to get out the way when he's about to get rocked at the rim. It's a business decision. By the third quarter, this thing was pretty much in hand for the Warriors. And so now you're monitoring the exertion of energy, goes to the conservation of energy. So yeah, I buy that as a silver lining. And I don't think LeBron or AD, LeBron in particular, were alarmed in the postgame, right? Like LeBron said it, the Warriors were gonna hold serve. Now you go back to LA, you have a chance to protect home court.
Yeah, and Dan, I don't think it's just about the actual number of minutes. It's not like, oh, LeBron's over 40.
Yeah.
It's the way that they have elected to play. In game one, they elected to absolutely play a high tempo. And Steve Kerr was like, oh, well, in the fourth quarter of that game, we were actually fresher than them.
Yeah.
And so we're going to dial it up. So we're going to go smaller and faster. And so it's not just how much out there, it's the style of the way they're out there. And so my question is, now that they know that they're going to probably play small, now that they know that Draymond Green is probably going to be the primary defender on AD, do the Lakers now respond by turning the dial backwards and say, okay, now we're going to use our size advantage and we're going to get into the interior and make you guys have to dig and work in there. That's the back and forth and the ebb and flow, and I think that's what we're going to be paying attention to. It's the speed of the game more important than how much minutes they're actually out there.
Is that what you expect them to do?
I expect them to play a lot slower in terms of